Hey guys, welcome back to Considerate Joy with me, your host, Zach Kaiser. So last week we did talk with Fostering Possibilities, a foster care boutique where foster kids or people in kinship care can come shop for free. We're going to kind of keep the same theme rolling and talk more about child advocacy, but we're going to talk about it on a global standpoint. This week I have flown to Atlanta, Georgia to talk to a mission very near and dear to my heart. And we're meeting with Brandon Dassinger. Brandon is the executive director of P82, or better known as Project 82, which is a child rescue home in Kenya. Hey Brandon, it's so nice to see you. Thank you so much for being here this week. Just kind of walk us through the organization and what they do and who they are.
Well, hey, my name is Brandon Dassinger, and I'm the executive director of Project 82 Kenya. And we're an organization of Kenyans and folks from the United States who respond to God's call to protect and love and care for the weak and the vulnerable in Kenya. And so we are located in Nanyuki, Kenya, and in Molo, Kenya. And essentially, we have a staff of around 50 Kenyans in Kenya, along with one U.S. missionary. And really, in essence, what we do is we help rescue abandoned babies or children and help put them back into loving family units. So that is our goal. And sometimes that's babies, sometimes that is older kids. So we work together as a staff with the government over there, with their child services, to help children who are needing a safe place, a family unit, and we work to make that possible.
I can't believe there was only one U.S. staff member. That's crazy to me. So how did you tackle it?
Yeah, so as our organization evolved, we ended up figuring out, again, through our Kenyan staff, that most of the children we were caring for actually had families. And so from that point on, just again, working with our Kenyan staff and having discussions, we really said, hey, we really need to work to reunite these children with their families because it's best for a child to grow up in a family unit, not in an orphanage, if you can make that happen. And so that's where our kind of ministry started to take shape. So we went from just kind of reacting to an emergency to, okay, how do we help these children in a long term way, in a sustainable way? And so that's when we started thinking more long term. We ended up hiring more social workers, Kenyan social workers. We started identifying where children were from and if they had aunts or grandmothers or where their moms were. So our ministry really turned into a reunification organization of identifying their family members and see if we can work to reunify them. And we've had really great success with that. So, with probably 90% of the older children or babies that we rescue, we work really hard to find their family members and we've been able to reunify them, either with their birth mom, if that's possible, or with a sibling or with an aunt or a grandmother. We reunify them with that family, and then we have an empowerment program that then works with that family to help them become sustainable. As soon as we reunite that child or baby with a family member, we then start meeting with that guardian, as we call them, to see how can we help them become self-sustainable. What are some God-given dreams that they have that they want to accomplish? And so we have a grant program where we help them start businesses. Again, the goal of that is to help that family become self-sustainable, but also to help these families achieve the goals and dreams that God has given them. And it's been really exciting to see that. So, like, this is just an example, but just recently I was over there in Kenya and met with one of our guardians. She's a grandmother. Many, many years ago, she took in her grandchildren and started caring for them. And so we met with her to see what she might want to do as a business. And she was already farming some. She just wanted to expand her farm. So we just helped her buy a cow. But fast forward, 10 years later, that cow was turned into three cows and some goats and some chicken. And she's now bought some more land and she's able to take care of her grandkids. And now her oldest grandchild is in college and he wants to be a social worker and work for an organization like Project 82. So that's just where you see the multiplying effect of the empowerment program, but also in meeting with this grandmother, just her pride, her excitement to show us all that she's done and her pride in her grandchildren. So the dignity of being able to take care of her own family and kids and to provide for them, and then how that's changing the legacy of that entire family. So it's just pretty amazing to watch. And this all kind of again evolved out of, how can we help kids be in a family unit? How can we make sure those family units are sustainable? One of the things we do in the program too is we immediately tell the guardians, hey, we will take the school pressure off of you. So that's through our sponsorship program. We take care of their school fees and their uniforms. And then again, we help empower them to become sustainable in all other ways. So, same thing with the babies. We try to reunite them with family members. And again, 90% of the time we're able to do that. But there is 10% where maybe a family, extended family is just not available. There's not a good situation. And so then we'll go towards adoption. Now, Kenya is a little bit unique in the fact that it does not allow international adoption. That became illegal many years ago, mainly because there were a lot of international adoption agencies in Kenya that were doing things in a bad way. So they just kind of shut it down. But we've had great success with getting our babies adopted into local Kenyan families. There are local agencies that we work with there. Again, this is all through the government, through local adoption agencies that have been approved by the government. And so we will rescue a baby. We will have a staff member who's caring for that child. We have a nurse that will be checking in on the child. And then we have a social work team that is working to see if reunification is possible. And if not, then we start heading towards local adoption and working through that process. So that kind of gives you an idea, a feel of what we're trying to do is basically as quickly and safely as we can is getting children into safe family units and then empowering those family units to be sustainable and achieve the goals that they want to achieve.
So let's say that Project 82 places a child back into a loving home, or there's an adoption or kinship care. Does the mission check in with the child to touch base if they still need care or attention?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, yes, in most cases, if we reunify a child with their family member, those guardians really stay a part of our ministry for a very long time, at least until their child graduates out of the program. But that would not be until they graduate their final educational requirement. So, for many of our kids, it may be high school, it may be they may go to trade school, they may go to university, and we help them all the way through. And so, most of our guardians in those families are essentially a part of Project 82 for many many years. But it's not that we are again. They're usually self sustainable. We're just helping them with the school thing, and then also the kids can always come to our Saturday program in Molo. So yeah, there's ongoing care, ongoing check in from our social work team to see how the family's doing. The guardians come to our Saturday program. Um, and what we've been doing over the last few years has just been adding layers of care. So we have a learning center now in Molo where our kids who are part of our program can get tutoring, or they have the opportunity for Bible studies. We have worship services. We do crafts. We now have a counselor on staff for some of our older children who may need counseling because of the trauma that they've experienced. Our guardians not only get business grants, but some of them are under counseling, or we are now doing parenting classes for them. So, what we've been doing over the last few years has just kind of been adding layers to the care that we're providing for the children and the guardians that are a part of the program. Now, in terms of the infant rescue center, some of those babies that are adopted, we don't always stay in touch with those families forever because those are typically more middle class or well to do families. They're adopting for a very specific reason. Usually it's because they cannot have their own biological children. So oftentimes we see that adoption process through. We make sure the transition goes okay. They are always welcome to reach back out to us if they need anything. But typically, in the adoption cases, those families may not stay a part of the program for a lengthy part of time because they're usually already sustainable and doing okay.
So you guys do a lot for family restoration. So kind of walk us through in detail the programs that you guys do in both villages in Kenya.
Yeah, so a couple of other programs that we've added over the last few years. One is called the Sangita Foundation, and it is a home for special needs children. Now, this is not specifically a part of Project 82. This is its own organization, but they are also located in Nanyuki. And we met them because we had a child in our care who had multiple special needs. And we sometimes have trouble getting special needs children adopted just because a lot of times that's a lot for a local Kenyan family to take on. So we actually found this home for special needs children in Nanyuki, and just had it's an amazing Kenyan woman who started it. She has her own amazing story, but she basically just was doing it on her own without any sort of outside fundraising. It was just really absolutely incredible. She took in this child for us that we really wanted to place in a home where he could get those needs met. But through that, we kind of created this relationship with her. We came alongside her and started helping support her ministry. And so we help them financially through our own fundraising. And we also visit this center every time we take a team over there. So it's just an amazing organization that really helps special needs children. They have physical therapy. Again, they work to reunite them with their families and make that possible. A lot of these children who weren't able to go to school are now going to school. So just absolutely incredible. So that's something we've kind of added is just this partnership with the Sangita Foundation. And then just a couple years ago, we started a ministry called Let's Raise a Child. And again, this was a vision of our staff for a few years where we wanted to try to get ahead of the problem. And so we thought of a ministry of identifying vulnerable pregnant women and building a relationship with them before they have the child. And again, we mainly um, begin this relationship through government services or child services. Or now that the word is out, now it's pretty easy. We have women coming to us, and typically, again, it's pregnant women who may be in a tough economic situation, or there may be mental illness or struggles. And so we have social workers who will partner with these women and just create an empowerment plan for them. And that may have to do with giving them maternal health care. That may mean getting them some counseling, and then also talking about how they can become self-sustainable after the birth. That hey, we can make this happen. We can help you get to a place where you can take care of your child. But the bigger part of it is that they then become a part of a group. And so we have right now, for instance, we have 15 women who are part of Let's Raise a Child, and they meet monthly together. And usually there'll be services there that they can be a part of. There'll be a devotional. There'll be some just discussion and prayer time together. So we're essentially giving these women certain services that they need, but more importantly, giving them community support. And that's really the biggest factor. This just this reminder that they're not alone, that they have help, that there are other women who are in a similar situation, and they made it through. And what's been neat is we've already had 4 or 5 of these women have had their children, and they're taking care of them, and they're doing okay. So now we have examples of, hey, this is possible. So the goal with that ministry is to prevent the abandonment of babies, is to try to get ahead of that issue altogether. And it's really been neat. We've started the ministry, and it's now going amazing. It's just been incredible to be a part of and to see that come to fruition.
So, for the program, Let's Raise a Child, is there a ministry side for the new mothers in the program?
Yeah, so there's so with Let's Raise a Child, they meet monthly, and again, they usually will have someone who's maybe giving parenting classes or some sort of situation that talks about motherhood. They may meet with our social workers about their empowerment plan and some next steps involved with that. But the group actually meets at a local church that one of our staff, her husband is a pastor there, so they let us use that facility. And there's always a time of worship, a devotional, and time of prayer. So yeah, it's definitely kind of a all in one of this kind of community resources and also this spiritual support as well.
Also, Brandon, kind of highlight for me where the mission's going or any kind of growth that is on the horizon?
Yeah, so in terms of the future of Project 82, we're actually at a great place. We've really, those first few years we're just kind of reacting, and then these last few years we've kind of figured out a lot, and we've really, in a certain way, perfected our ministries. They've really evolved. We really feel great about what we're doing, how we're doing it. We have an amazing staff. Again, we employ about 50 Kenyans, and we've had great retention. Most of them have been working with us for most of the organization's life, but at least 5 years. So we just have a great team, and they're all working really well together. Great unity. So we're kind of at a place where we're doing really really well. I think honestly we could just expand what we're doing. Um, so we are doing that. We've expanded layers of our care, but we could possibly, for instance, we're helping 15 to 20 women through Let's Raise a Child. If we had greater funding, we could probably help 30 women,
Hmm.
but that would require expanding our staff.
Right.
Similar to our Guardian program in Molo, we're helping a lot of families there, but we could probably expand that even some as well, or even expand our social work team there so that our families are getting even more visits or more support. So we're kind of at just a place where we feel really good about the ministry as a whole, but we could probably help even more children, even more families if we were able to expand our staff a little bit. So we're just at a really good place, and I think too we've talked next steps is possibly expanding what we do with Let's Raise a Child, which may mean building some buildings for transitional housing for some
Mhm.
mothers, maybe even creating a little bit of our own clinic. And so I think those are some next steps of is maybe just expanding the care that we provide to those women. And we have a piece of land where we could build those buildings. It's just about taking those next steps. So I think that's kind of where we're at. We could expand our staff, which would expand our reach, and then we could probably add a few layers of care to Let's Raise a Child.
So, Project 82 invites individuals, churches, missionaries twice a year. So, I'm sure this is like the question of the hour, but how do we come see it in action? Walk us through the mission trips and how that works.
Yeah, so we love having mission teams come over. Our staff are really encouraged when folks come over to visit. So we require mission teams to do at least one Zoom training with myself and our administrative assistant. The purpose for that is to walk through the schedule, to walk through what that week looks like, but also to really share about what we do, why we do it the way we do it, and to really give them a briefing about what the trip is all about. And one of the things I communicate to mission teams is you are not going over there to save Africa. Okay, so that's not what we're doing. Um,
I'm so glad that you made that point.
yeah, we're not going there to save Africa in a week. And we really are very careful to explain that everything we do in conjunction with our Kenyan staff that's on the ground. And so we're very careful about letting teams know, like, for instance, again, this is not a knock on other organizations. I want to be clear about that. Different countries have different contexts. But for Kenya, for instance, we're not going to bring 500 free t shirts or a bunch of even free stuff because that negatively impacts the local economy. So we don't always think about that as US folks is that, hey, this is a place that has poverty. We should bring free stuff. But if you bring 500 free t-shirts, you just put the t-shirt guy out of business. So that's always a concern. So we always want to make sure we're helping in a way that helps long term and that we're not having any unintended consequences. And that's where our Kenyan staff is really amazing. We also want to make it clear to our teams that this is a partnership um, between Christians in the US and Christians in Kenya. And really, the team on the ground is the team that we really rely on the most because they understand the context the best. And so we really, even though I'm executive director, that's a big title. Um, it's really our staff on the ground that really shapes the ministry. I really rely on them and their input and their guidance because they know better than I do what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. So we really want to make sure that mission teams understand that mutuality in missions, that this is a partnership. So again, we're not going there to save Africa. We're going there to encourage the saints, as Paul would write in Romans. He says, I hope I can visit you so I can encourage you in your faith and you can encourage me in mine. That's the goal of our mission trip. So again, we're not going there to save Africa. We're going there to encourage the saints, as Paul would write in Romans. He says, I hope I can visit you so I can encourage you in your faith and you can encourage me in mine. That's the goal of our mission trip. Point blank is by you going, this is a huge encouragement to our staff and to our children. They just think it's awesome that y'all would come this far just to see them. And then in turn, I guarantee you, you'll be encouraged by the faith of our staff, which you will be. So we have those trainings just to make that all clear. But the mission trip, when you get there, we really want you to obviously, you're going to see that there's great need, but we also want you to see the beauty of Kenya and all the gifts that it has to offer you. So on the mission trip, you will go to Molo usually first, and this is where most of our older kids go. You'll get to be a part of the Saturday program, and really it's a relational mission trip. We're not bringing you there to paint a wall or to build something. Again, we would rather hire Kenyans to do that than bring U.S. folks over to do that. So really, it's relational. You'll do the Saturday program and play games with our kids and do crafts with our kids, worship. They're usually going to make you dance really silly and makes you do a lot of embarrassing things. We'll do staff training and staff devotional and worship with our staff. You get to spend a lot of time with them. Most of our staff speak very good English, so you really get to know them well. I think that's another thing that is really a blessing in terms of going to Kenya with Project 82 is that you truly can build cross cultural relationships because language is not such a barrier there. So you get to a lot of time with them. And by hanging out with our kids and playing with them all day, you're giving our staff a break and again, encouraging them. We have a big meal together. You get to help prepare that Kenyan meal. You'll get to visit some of our guardians at their homes. So we'll visit some of our guardians. You'll hear their story. You'll hear the business that they started and how it's helped their family. So you get a glimpse of kind of a local Kenyan home, but it's not this voyeurism thing because these are our friends. These are our guardians, and they're happy to have you at their home. We go to church, which church in Kenya, like a lot of countries, is it's not 1 hour; it's 3 to 4 hours, and this is a church that partners with our ministry, a local Kenyan church that helps support our ministry and helps do devotionals and Bible studies with our kids and staff. So they're amazing. So you get to be a part of that. And then eventually we make our way over to Nanyuki. And in Nanyuki, you'll actually stay at a safari camp because again, we want you to see the beauty of Kenya. So you get to have a free day where you do safaris and you see all the animals. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we stay at these tents that are basically glamping. Though these are very nice, and these tents are right by our watering hole. So you wake up in the morning and there's buffalo and giraffe and elephants like right outside your tent. Now there's a ravine separating you from them, so it's not too dangerous. But um, and you go on safaris, you get to see lions and rhinos and hyenas. So you get to kind of cross that off your bucket list. And again, part of that is we just want you to see all that Kenya has to offer. We try to help you see some of the markets as well, do a little bit of shopping, just get to experience the culture of Kenya. So that's pretty neat. And then you do the safari thing, and then we visit our infant rescue center. And basically, what we do is we have all our foster mamas bring the babies to our little center there, and we watch the babies. So you get to hold a lot of babies and feed babies. And again, we give our staff a break, and we take them out to a nice lunch and let them have some fun. And then they come back, and we'll have a staff devotional with them, staff training. You'll go get to visit the Sangita Foundation or the Center for Special Needs Children. We'll go visit with them and hang out there for a little bit as well. And then you'll get to visit some of our staff foster moms at their homes. And again, and just kind of hear their story, hear how they got involved with Project 82 and what the ministry means to them for them to care for these children. So that's basically the trip in a nutshell. Is it's just really a lot of relational ministry of hanging out with the kids and babies, but also a lot of time with our staff and getting to hear from them and getting to know them, and they get to know you, and also getting to see different parts of Kenya. So, because we're in two different locations, you really get to see a lot of the country just through our travels.
I've actually had several people on your mission trips that have went with you send me Snapchat videos from your safari of a baby elephant trying to walk, and it, and it was the funniest. It was adorable, but like also like really funny to watch. And I was in before, but now I'm all in now for sure. Definitely going now. So, what really pulled you into Project 82 and got you involved?
Well, I actually got involved with Project 82 about 10 years ago. And I'm also a pastor. So I'm the executive director of Project 82, but I'm also a pastor here in the US. And I started out in the ministry just going on a mission trip myself. And I went to Kenya. I really just fell in love with the country, fell in love with the staff and the ministry. And I started going kind of just as the ministry had begun. And so it was really new. In my family, my wife and I have always had a heart for orphan care. We were foster parents for 8 years. We have two children who have been adopted. Through that, we fostered about eight other children who were able to go back to their moms or their grandmothers. And so this has been a big part of our story as a family. And then Project 82 kind of came at that same time and added this sort of international component. And it just really aligned with God's calling on our life as a family and as a husband and wife. And so it was really exciting just to start being a part of it. So I started leading mission teams for churches going to Kenya as a part of Project 82. I was a part of their board, just kind of as a consultant a little bit, just with my foster care background. So I've been going to Kenya with Project 82 for over 10 years. But then about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, they invited me to be their interim executive director just for a period of time. But then that interim tag got removed, and now I've been there for several years. And yeah, yeah, it's like, yeah, yeah. I think they knew what they were doing when they said interim. And but the reason I love it so much is again not just because it's helping vulnerable children. I mean that's huge, but it's how we're doing it. It's the reunifying families, empowering families, um, it's the partnership that we have with Kenyans as we do it. It's the mutuality that's involved. It's the dignity and purpose that we're giving these guardians and these family members and these kids as they go to school. And now being in it 10 years, like you get to see some of the end results. Like we have he's not a child anymore, but a kid who was in our program now works for Project 82. I mean, that's what's amazing to see. He was on the streets and he was reunified with family, and that family was empowered, and he went to university, and he's now on the other side, and now he's helping children, he's helping kids. We have someone else in our program, and it's just amazing story after amazing story. But he grew up in one of the worst slums in Kenya, ended up becoming a part of the sponsored ministry, ended up being very good at school, ended up becoming a lawyer. And as soon as he got a job where he made some money, he took all his money and helped his siblings go to school. And then when his younger brother graduated, he became a social worker. And then they paid for their sister to go to school. And now this family, there's now a lawyer, a social worker, and a nurse all in the same family. And you get to see stories like that, where again, it's not just helping a child, but it's changing the entire legacy of a family. And I remember asking this um, young man he's close to my age. I said, that's pretty amazing that you took all your money and gave it to your siblings so that they could go to school. And he looked at me like I was crazy when I said that, like as if there was anything else he would do.
Yeah.
He's like, of course that's what I would do. Like as if he was going to the mail box and checking mail. Like, well, yeah, yeah. As soon as I made money, yeah, I was going to give it to my family. And that's the type of people you get to meet. Those are the stories you get to be a part of. So for me, like whether I'm executive director or not, it really doesn't matter. I'm in this ministry for life. And It's just been such a great experience for our family. My wife's got to has gotten to go twice. I just brought our oldest child. I told her when she turned 13 I would take her. She just got to go to Kenya. So it's been an amazing part of our lives and just been an amazing part of our journey. And we're so thankful to be a part of it.
And can you kind of go over to where the name P82 comes from?
And our name, Project 82, actually comes from Psalm 82, where God calls on his people to defend the cause of the weak and the fatherless, to maintain the rights of the poor and the oppressed. And so Project 82 is simply a mission that came in response to that calling. And it's just a group of folks from the United States and from Kenya who are working together to live into that mission as a community.
I think what you do is amazing, but with all this going on, what can we do for you? So, if you had to give us one or two things how we can support you or get your back behind this effort, what would it be?
So there are many ways that people can come alongside Project 82 and support our ministry. A key thing, first thing I would tell people to do is just go to our website, project82kenya.com. And at the bottom of that, you can sign up for our prayer newsletter. And each month we send out an email newsletter that gives you updates about the ministry and pictures. But also we've started listing ways that you can pray for the ministry. And that is not trite for us. We really covet your prayers. So that's one thing you can do is just become a prayer volunteer. It's just, and there's nothing you need to do but sign up for that newsletter and just commit to praying for our ministry. If there's ways you can pray for us, you can email us. We'd be glad to do that. So that's a big part. Just get the newsletter, start praying for our ministry. That would be huge. A second thing you can do is attend a mission trip. We have about two or three of those a year, so we don't do as many of those as other organizations. Part of that is we only have two part-time U.S. staff, so we don't have a huge staff on this side of things, and so but we have about two or three of those a year, and we'd love for you to join us on a mission trip. Again, that's really encouraging to our team, and typically, as soon as someone comes on a trip with us, they're in for life. They want to be a part of it. So we'd love to be able to show you what we do, let you see the ministry, um, let you meet our staff and build those relationships. So that's the second thing. And then a third thing that's huge for us is obviously to become a monthly supporter. And again, you can become a supporter at our website. And we do it a little bit differently. We don't do child sponsorship. And part of the reason for that, again, this is not to knock any organizations that do child sponsorship. But for us, since we really key on reunifying children with their families, we really want the children to see their guardian or their parent as their provider and not someone from the US. And that can bring complications, that can bring situations where children are overreaching, they contact their sponsors directly because their parents aren't doing what they want them to do or whatever it may be. So we really want to take care of the family unit and our staff and make sure everything goes through them. So we really invite people to sponsor one of the ministries. So, for instance, if you just have a real passion for helping children go to school, then you might want to sponsor Molo House of Hope because Molo is mainly older kids, and those are children we're helping through helping them go to school, helping them learn a trade, or maybe you have a real heart for the Guardian program where we empower families. You can sponsor that. You can sponsor Let's Raise a Child if you have a heart for vulnerable pregnant women, or you can sponsor the Name a House, our infant rescue center, if you just, again, have a real passion for babies and helping babies find a home. So we hope through one of those ministries, maybe there's just a passion you have that you would like to be a part of. And so being a monthly sponsor, that's something we actually need really in a big way right now. Um, we are doing really good with one-time donations in our fundraiser. I'll share a little bit about that in a second, but we could really use a lot more monthly sponsors. That would be a big help to our ministry. And you can really sponsor at any level you would like. We'll give you options on the website, but really whatever you feel like you can give monthly is really huge and very impactful. So that would be a third way you can help is sponsor a ministry. A fourth way again, this would probably be after you go on a trip and you're already sponsoring, but we have a team of people who are a part of our US board. Um, and if you're interested in being a part of our board, you can always just contact us and let us know. That's a huge help to our operations here. Again, we're a very small US staff, so our board is a working board. They really help in a number of ways, and they obviously help with fundraising as well. And then in conjunction with that, each year we have an annual fundraiser, and it's we have dinners for this fundraiser, but we also have an online component where people can watch a video. And if you're local to the Georgia area, you can come to the dinner here. But if you're not, we invite people to host watch parties at their home where you have family and friends over and you watch the online video about Kenya. You have a dinner together and you invite people to support the ministry. So, again, if you have any questions about that, my email and contact is actually on our website, but we can also leave it, I think, here on the podcast as well. You're welcome to contact me. So, those are the major ways that you can be a partner with us: is praying, being a sponsor, going on a mission trip, and then obviously, if you want to go deeper in terms of hosting a watch party or being a part of our board, we would love that as well.
I love this mission so much because each time that I talk to you guys, there's always a new department, there's always a new program, there's growth, there's things coming soon, and I just can't love that enough. I feel like it's evident what you're doing is working and that this mission is so blessed and highly favored. I'm coming on a trip soon. I hope that you guys do too. If you guys can, today just kind of say a quick prayer for Project 82 in Kenya. If you want to get more information, follow their Instagram, come on a trip, join the email list. I've put their information down below for donations, their YouTube, and their general website for questions or mission trip info. Definitely check that out.
Well, again, I'm just so excited to be a part of this podcast. Again, my name is Brandon Dassinger, and I serve with Project 82 Kenya. And for more information, you can check out our website, project82kenya.com. Please let us know if there's any way that we can help you get connected. We'd be glad to do so.
Thank you so much for being on today's podcast. We loved hearing your story and getting the details behind Project 82. And thank you guys again for listening to this week's show. We'll see you back every other Monday on Consider It Joy with me, your host, Zach Kaiser. Have a great week.